Hi, I'm Terry Bay and welcome to my stitch instruction series. This one is going to be the blanket stitch, how to join a new thread. The blanket stitch is a little more difficult than most to start a new thread because the outer edge is all locked together loops, and to start your new thread you need to lock together those loops. So it's not simply a case of going down at one point and coming up at another. There's a little technique to it. I'm going to show you that now. Okay, here is my model that I started showing you how to do a blanket in a straight line. Let me refocus. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do left to right first, then right to left. This is my first thread. We're going to say I need to change a thread. We're going to pretend this is too short to go on. When you change a thread, you want several inches left so you have time to do the joining stitch. So don't stitch it down to this much thread left or you will regret it. All right, I'm going to show you the join with a very different color thread so you can see how it works. To start our new thread, first thing, you're going to go to the back and just go under your stitches in the back to secure it. If I had a longer line of stitching, I would go through probably about an inch worth of stitching, maybe a little more depending on how big my stitches were, how coarse the fabric was. You know, the bigger it is, the more stitches you need to go under just to hold it in place. Okay, so I'm going to leave my old thread out here. Now, sometimes people will use two needles. They'll leave this one threaded onto a needle and start their new one with another needle. You can do that, or you can unthread it, however it works for you. So I'm going to come up, oops, yes, one thread away from the top of my last stitch with the old thread. Come on up. Start forming blanket stitches just like we did on the blanket stitch video. Now if you are looking at this and saying, wait, you didn't tell me how to work the stitch, that's on the first video that's titled blanket stitch. That shows you how to work a blanket stitch. Now I'm showing you how to join threads, so I'm assuming you've watched that video and know how to do the blanket stitch. Now the important thing to notice here is while my stitch comes up one thread over from the last stitch of the old thread, at the bottom there is a hole, an empty hole skipped. Okay, that's important. And now I'm just going to start blanket stitching away with my new thread. And I would get at least an inch worth of stitching in. Most of the time when I'm doing this personally, I will stitch this new thread until it needs changed, and then I'll come back and secure the red one. You can wait till the end of the blue thread, or you can secure it after you've got about an inch worth of stitching done, whichever you prefer. There's no hard and fast rule saying when you need to do that, but you do need enough stitches done so you can secure the thread in back. So you're just going to watch me do a few more blanket stitches while I get ready for that. Remembering that the most important part of doing the blanket is getting that thread under the needle. Alrighty. We're going to say this is enough stitches for now. So now I'm going to rethread the red one. I'm calling it red. It's actually kind of a salmon-y, corally color. I'm just going to stick with red because it's easy. And of course, my thread's going to be difficult. Maybe I should get a second needle for demo purposes. There we go. Now, remember I said we left this hole open for a purpose. This is why. We've got this lovely locked edge here, and this lovely locked edge here, and here we have a gap. If we're going to cut out this edge, saying it's a harding or edging, we can't have that gap because our fabric will unravel. Here's how you join the two together to make it seamless. You're going to take your needle and you're going to go under the first loop of the blue thread. Now I like to pull upwards just a little bit because it seems to get things better in line when I do that. So I've gone under, and now they're joined. I'm going to go down in that one empty hole we left. And now you see how clever that is? We've got the red one going under the blue one, and it's all joined into one continuous line. There's no gap there anymore. And that's how you do it. So then you would take, you go to the back, take your red thread under your blue stitches to secure. Cut it off, and there you go. So eventually, you would get all the way around your design, back to here, and you would take your very last thread under your very first loop and down to join the entire piece. All right, I'll show you that again, but going the other direction. As I said in my first video, I'm sure one of these directions is technically left-handed and one is technically right-handed, but I'm a left-handed stitcher who was taught by a lot of right-handed people, so I get thoroughly confused about which direction is which. I'll show you both and let you decide for yourself. So first step, anchor under the red thread. Now remember, this time I'm working right to left. I'm going to just hold that guy out of the way. Coming up one thread away from the last stitch of the red thread. Skipping a hole. And then working my first blanket stitch. So again, you can tell they're not connected in any way. Not at all. So while I'm getting enough blanket stitches here to hold the red thread in back, I will tell you that I'm going to do a couple more blanket stitch videos. The next one I'm going to show you corners. So far I've just been stitching a straight line. I'm going to show you how to turn corners in the next video. I could have done this all in one video, but then it would have gotten really, really long. And if you decided you wanted to come back to see one particular bit, you'd have to search through it to find that bit. So I've just got them all divided up into separate videos. There we go. I would normally stitch a little more, but for time's sake, I'm going to rethread my red and show you that join again. All right, so I've got my red thread back on my needle. I'm going to go under the very first blue loop. Sometimes you got to wiggle things around a bit to make that work. Pull it through, pull it up just to settle everything in place. Down in the one empty hole we left. That one wasn't quite as seamless as the first one, but you got the idea. And now they are joined. Take your thread under your new stitches in back. and snip it off. And there you go. Whoops, after I bash my camera. Joining new threads in blanket stitches. Thanks for watching.